Hey guys, it's Silver Snorlax, and I am back today with a PSA send-off video for the month of April. This is something I really want to try and do, kind of get into the groove of, is kind of a quick sneak peek as far as to a round before it goes to PSA, and then when we get it back from PSA, you can kind of do a quick compare and contrast and see what grades cards got. So it's something I've noticed on other channels in particular seem to be very popular, so that's something I want to incorporate onto my own channel, so you guys have a little something to look at. It also creates a video for me, because I know I don't always upload week to week, although I try to get into that habit. So I know I've been a little slow this past week and a half or so, but definitely trying to pick that up, definitely. So here's what I want to do. I want to go ahead and just kind of show you the round that I have, which this is it. This is actually a very small round. This is 37 cards, and I'm going to be thumbing through all of these cards and just kind of talking while I thumb through them. In particular, I really wanted to talk about insurance. So I'm going to go ahead and hold these up. I'll kind of thumb through them very slowly. The users who submitted will know who they are. Obviously, they can see that the cards are safe and sound. And the rest of you watching just kind of get to hear me drone on and on. Isn't that fun? So, alrighty, here's what I'm going to go ahead and say. Insurance. I do get hit with questions on insurance off and on. Whenever I do PSA submissions, how much cards are worth. And believe it or not, this is actually a very, very difficult thing to figure out. You have to know the condition of your card, relative condition of your card, which is actually very difficult to do. And then you have to actually know a card will sell for that much, or retail for that much, or has a market where it can be sold for a specific amount of dollars without having to think about it, really. So how do you come to that conclusion on your insurance when you fill out an insurance form for PSA or for me or just in general? I gotta be honest, I really don't think there's a clear-cut right answer as far as to what a card insures for. The only thing I can tell you is that you have to use some of your own knowledge in addition to cold hard facts. So what I mean by cold hard facts, I mean like a sales receipt. That is a fact. This is how much this card sold for. A closing auction price, not just one, but generally several. And that's over the course of several months, some kind of tracking on it to know that the card actually sells for that much. You want to avoid more than anything else like buy it now prices or posted prices. That's not what a card is worth. That's what a card is being asked to be sold at. That doesn't make it so. There's a big difference between the two. A lot of people get confused as to the value or the insurance amount on their cards because they see these really high prices on eBay or see really high asking prices from another seller. And the reality is those asking prices are there for the handful of people who really need that card and are willing to pay whatever, or for people who really aren't too knowledgeable on the card. I don't want to say it's sad or it's price gouging, because it's not. Nobody's holding a gun to your head in order to purchase a card by any means, but it generally kind of throws off as far as to what somebody just trying to do general research on is actually able to insure, and then ultimately what they should be paying. So it's a very interesting, very difficult thing to kind of do in terms of insurance. Now, I've got a card in here, and I'm actually about to come up to it that I would like to stop and talk about. Here it is. It's a very lovely first edition Charizard from base set, and it's definitely a card that's worth the stop and the talking points attached to it. I really wanted to stop and kind of talk about just kind of appraising the card, how that works and how that's done. Obviously, I am not a professional. I am not PSA. I've been around PSA graded cards for many years now, but I'm not. I would not qualify myself as a professional. Nobody else would qualify me as a professional, like an insurance agency. So, I'm just going to kind of talk about this card. A little bit, stuff to keep in mind. Obviously, the condition of your card is more important than anything else. If I were to look this card up on eBay, just the raw card itself, not the graded version. I have the graded version here too, for anybody who's interested. That's a 10. If I were to look at just the raw card pricing, I would see pricing with varying conditions anywhere from $250 upwards of over $1,000. It's very difficult to figure out what the card is actually worth. Things to keep in mind when you're looking at cards online or cards that you purchase, so on and so forth. is the general condition. The front of the card is very important. A lot of people can look at it and say, hey, I think it's in really good shape. There are no scratches or blemishes on the hollow foil. The edges look very solid. Big thing people miss is how centered the card is. This card, for example, you'll notice that top border is very thin. The bottom border is very large. That actually means the card is off-centered. So that's something to keep in mind. Knowing if a card is off-centered generally drops the value. It varies from card to card. Charizard, it's going to ding it pretty good. People want this particular card in amazing good shape in order to pay the really high price tag that it has. This card over here is worth anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000, leaning closer to the $5,000 side of it. Whereas its raw card counterpart, if this is off-centered, it's going to drop it significantly. It's going to drop it, maybe it's only worth about $500 or so. So again, I'm just kind of using a round number on that. I really don't know how much an off-centered Charizard would sell for, but that's just to kind of give you an idea. So anyway, as I was saying, we're looking at the front of the card. We're noticing it's in very good shape. Here's the part I notice 99% of people out there miss. They don't do this part. Flip the card over and look at the back. This is 50% of the card right here. This is where you tend to lose a lot of your money and don't realize it. What a lot of people do is they look at the front of their card and go, well, it's in really good shape, therefore it's worth X amount of dollars. They don't stop and look at the back of it and realize, well, maybe there's some edge wear or there's some corner wear or the back of the card is off-centered. That's generally the step they miss. And generally when they miss that step, they make large mistakes in terms of evaluation of the card's actual condition. The front part of most Pokemon cards are fine. The back parts generally are not. A lot of times you'll see little white flecks on the corners, some kind of edging on the sides. That's a very common thing, and a lot of people miss that. So this particular card actually really doesn't have any of those things, no edging, no white spots on the corners. It's actually in insanely good condition. So ultimately, minus the off-centering on this card, it's actually a very good condition card. I didn't see any hairline creases or anything. However, I have a habit of missing those, so I looked her over pretty good. I really didn't see anything, but I may be wrong. That's what PSA is for, though. They have two professionals look at it, and they're kind of trained to look for that sort of stuff. So a card like this, if you were to buy it off eBay or buy it from another person, I would say is not worth $1,000 price tag by any means. It's probably about half that because of how off-centered it is, and in particular, that's how I'm grading it and how much I would be willing to pay for it. Some people will be willing to pay way more than that. It depends on the buyer. It depends on demand. There's a number of factors that go into buying, grading, evaluating. There's just so much to it. I could sit here and ramble on and on and on, but I do kind of want to get through the rest of these cards. But in particular, I did want to cover that with you guys because I have so many questions regarding insurance. My card is worth X amount of dollars when in reality it's not. Those are hopefully a couple of things I mentioned can help you out. Look at your closing auction prices. Don't get confused by posted buy it now prices. Don't be fooled by asking prices through private deals or other things. Take your time, do your research. If there's no research material available on the subject, then it's up to what an individual thinks the card is worth. A card is worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. That's a very good rule to follow. A card is worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. If you have somebody out there who's like, you know what, I'll pay $500 for whatever card, whatever that particular card may be, then you can value that card that high. Even if other people are not, sell it to the guy who's willing to buy it for that kind of price. If nobody's willing to buy it for that kind of price, odds are nobody's going to insure it for that amount. So lots of things to consider when it comes to value and insurance and all kinds of good stuff on these cards. Now, I will say this much. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody in this particular round or any round. A lot of you guys do a really good job of figuring out how much your cards are worth. Oftentimes, I don't see a card go over $100, and when I do, it's very rare, and it's generally justified in some way, shape, or form. So those are all things to keep in mind as well. You guys who send with me generally know what you're doing, so that's kind of a cool thing as well. So really, that's all I got for you as of right now. Just kind of my general talking points, and April round looking pretty solid, a good mix of old and new. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy it when it comes back in a couple of months. Hopefully, staying hopeful at least. We'll have a return round coming back from PSA hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but we'll see as that goes. So, all right, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will have another upload again soon.